Look, today I'd like to talk about why relationships are challenging, and they can be very challenging for us. Look, in order to survive in the world, we've learnt to be defensive. We've learnt to shut ourselves down emotionally. We stop making ourselves vulnerable. We stop being vulnerable. We've learnt that being vulnerable is a bad thing and that people will use that vulnerability against us to hurt us, to protect themselves, obviously, but we don't sometimes understand that aspect of their attack either. So we have learned in childhood to protect ourselves and be defensive. We stop ourselves from overfeeling, and we don't tell people personal things about ourselves in case they use it against us to hurt us. And let's face it, we've all been there where we've been hurt, but we've also been the person who has hurt others by using information against them. I'm not naive, and I hope you aren't either, just trying to keep it real. We've also been told not to tell anything personal about ourselves. We've been told that don't be vulnerable, that's a weakness. Our cultures, our families have told it to us. And we believe it and we've practiced it. We've practiced it so much it's become habit for us. We've become really skilled at shutting ourselves down emotionally and not making ourselves vulnerable just in case we're attacked and somebody uses that information against us. So it's become an instinctive, natural habit for us to be emotionally unavailable. Wow, society, that really explains society as a whole, doesn't it? But in relationships, the opposite is required, isn't it? I mean, we cannot get close to a person if we don't make ourselves vulnerable. In order to be seen, truly seen and heard, be accepted for who I am as we are on the person on the inside, we need to show our vulnerable side. In a relationship, we need to be willing to reveal really emotionally sensitive stuff. Our past hurts, our pain, our fears, our hopes, our desires, our dreams, our tender side, all of those things need to be shown in order to create that real closeness, that bonding connection that we know is the hallmark of a great relationship and makes us feel good on the inside when we're in such a relationship, doesn't it? But here's the real thing. During work, we've got to stay emotionally invulnerable. But when we come home at the end of the day, we've suddenly got to open up. That can be a real challenge and a problem for us because we've got that habit of shutting ourselves down emotionally, being invulnerable. Coming home then and having to switch that around really plays with our head a lot. And it can be very challenging just to do in the first place because it has become a habit to protect ourselves. And if that desire for closeness is also accompanied by terror, then, well, that really just makes it so much harder. It can be so much harder to open up and let someone in. We can be distant, isolate ourselves, or clam up. All of these things can happen. Even after years with someone, getting close to them can still be quite a challenge for us. Even if they haven't hurt us, it can be really hard. Even years later, there can still be that fear about opening up and getting close. And when this happens, one of two things is most likely to occur. First of all, we can get distant and avoidant. We want to get close to our partner, but we feel so anxious that we may freeze them out by keeping ourselves busy with lots of different things. We can use social media. We can ring someone on our phone. We can watch TV. We can do Facebook. We can even bring work home. We can play games on our phone. We can do chores around the house, constant cleaning, and we can put headphones on to shut them out. We don't mean to, but that's to protect us. And listen to music. We do all of these little tricks. And the worst one of all is numbing ourselves to our own fear and pain with addictions of alcohol, of gambling, of all sorts of things like that. And so when we do those things, we make ourselves emotionally unavailable. We pretend that our thoughts are elsewhere, and we imply that the need for reassurance just isn't there. It's the last thing on our minds. And that really gives our partner the feeling of being distant, which is what we are trying to be. And that doesn't feel nice for them either. So they're wondering, what's going on here? What can I do? And they'll often try and get closer to us, and we'll just push them away even more. get into more housework or say, look, I'm busy, just really I need to do this work, or I want to read this paper. And look, it might be at some level true, but it's really avoiding that closeness and intimacy. Sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. And we do all of this just to assert to ourselves more than anything that I don't require or don't need my partner's love, and that makes us feel safer. We do it to protect ourselves, and we're just afraid to ask for the love which we desire, we want, we crave, we need. Now, the other thing that can happen is that we can get quite controlling, quite anxious. We tell ourselves stories. We believe that even though our partner is right there and next to us, that they're getting too distant. I don't feel the connection with you anymore. And so what do? We start having these stories and fears that go on in our head, and we then start to control their behavior, who they see, where they go. We start looking at all the text messages, delete contacts from their phone, tell them not to see certain person. We start saying, look, I don't want you to go out tonight, I need you to be home with me, just because we're feeling anxious and overwhelmed with that anxiety. We check their social media pages and we ask their friends what's going on, like where have they been, so that we can feel more safe and secure within ourselves. We get upset and mad at them when they're late. We question them constantly. Where have you been? Why are you late? Who have you seen? We make sure that they've done things that they said that they would do, and we tell them off if they haven't done them. I mean, that isn't loving action, is it, ladies and gentlemen? But it's this fear and anxiety that we have that creates this within us, and it's those learned behaviors that come out of us just naturally to protect ourselves more than anything. We just don't know how to ask for what we really want. And what we really want and we deserve is that really loving comfort, the feeling of closeness and connection with a person. Hugs, kisses, cuddles, good conversation, spoiling each other, all of those things. And yet we do all these other things instead because of stuff which has happened to us early on in life. We do all of these things rather than just saying and admitting to our partner that, look, I'm worried, I'm scared, I'm just worried that I don't matter to you anymore, and I just want that reassurance at the moment. And that's a natural thing. The partner shouldn't get upset at you, and you don't have to fear them getting upset at you. We just need to learn how to say those things naturally and say, look, I'm sorry, honey, please, I need a hug right now. I need a kiss right now. Instead, we try and do controlling things. We get them to do things for us, which is another way of expressing love. But we just really need to be very honest with our communication in those moments. We know we can't force our partner to be generous to us or show love to us the way we want it. So we start to get all controlling and anxious instead. And look, our partner just doesn't understand what we want at that point in time. We're trying to think our partner needs to be a mind reader. They should know what I want. Instead, they're confused. All this constant reassurance that you're asking for when they're showing you their love anyway, but for some reason our fears are getting in the way of us seeing the love that they're giving us. It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Especially when you hear it like that. And you're probably thinking, yeah, I have done that. I know I've done it before in the past as well. And I still occasionally do it. We're all human. We make mistakes. And while our partner is confused about our actions, what's going on here, what they really what they want a lot of the time is for us to just say it outright as well. So we don't have to fear it because they really want to hear, give me a hug, give me a kiss, hold me tight because I'm feeling insecure, because that's why they are there. They want to support you. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. It doesn't matter whether you're in a heterosexual or homosexual or any sort of relationship. People want to hear vulnerability to create that closeness and connection. They want authenticity. They want honesty. They don't like all of this playing around and skirting around the issue. I know we feel safer that way, but guys, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to start being honest, more authentic with ourselves and with our partners. The truth is, We just fear that they don't love us, or that we're not worthy of love, or we're not lovable. That's where all our fears stem from. And that sense of, I feel unsafe with this thought that's happening in my head. What we've got to realize is that that thought isn't true. It's just something that we've made up, and our partner really does love us. They love us as much as we love them. They really do. And so sometimes both partners can get this way, and that's almost a recipe for disaster. So what can we do then? Well, we need to have more compassion and sympathy for ourselves in this moment. We just really need to put ourselves out there and trust ourselves, trust our partner. And sometimes that can be a big thing for us as well. We have trust issues. We feel unsafe. We have so in the past when we've trusted someone with some information. Relationships require us to put us in a really weak position of vulnerability. And we know instinctively from our past that when we're vulnerable, when we've disclosed vulnerable things about ourselves, that we've been hurt in the past. It's very easy to be hurt. And like I said before, we've been both on the receiving end of that and on the attacking end of that. So we know how easy it is. We think in our own lives just how easy it is to hurt someone when we're feeling hurt, and we just do it, like I said, instinctively. We don't mean to be nasty or hurtful. It just comes out when we're trying to protect ourselves. We know these things about that person. They've told us these things. That's why we're close, and yet we feel the same things in friendships, with our work colleagues, with our family. We feel all of these things, and sometimes it just gets too much for us. So we snap back. We say hurtful things. We have little digs at them using information they've given us, and it may not even be the information directly. It might just be that we've picked up on things that they've said and the way that they've said things. We know, they're sensitive about that. If I bring that up, that's going to hurt them. It's going to get them to back off and create that distance, which I need at the moment to protect myself. But that never works, does it? Look, this comes from our childhood experiences. It really does, which have made closeness a really scary experience for us, because we've all encountered moments where people have taken advantage of us with the information that we've given them. And we've been emotionally hurt by that betrayal. So it is a very real challenge for us to be around a person and be emotionally vulnerable when we know they could hurt us at any moment. Closeness often feels very threatening to us if we haven't healed from these early emotional childhood traumas. But gradually, we can, with courage, replace defensive, cold, attacking, avoiding defensive behaviors, anxious behaviors, with behaviors that are more connecting, with good communication, by saying nicely what our needs are. We can say we are frightened and why we are frightened. We can ask for closeness and connection rather than being cold, controlling, avoidant, or anxious, without getting angry or frustrated or running away, which can be very scary for the other person in front of you as well, your partner, because to them it looks like you're rejecting them, and that can be a very painful experience for them also, even though we are hurting on the inside. And no one wants to do that to their partner. That's the very last thing we want to do. So we can put away all of these defense mechanisms that we learned as a child and start using more secure, more mature ways of communicating with our partner, to express ourselves by having more meaningful conversations, as scary as that sounds. We all crave closeness, connection, and affection and acceptance. The trick is doing it in a way that doesn't disconnect us or distance us from our partners. When we recognize this in ourselves, what we can then do is learn new habits and practice these with our partners in a loving, safe, caring environment. And then we can see that there's a much better way to get what we want than the way that we were doing previously. We need to start getting better at seeing the love and longing that our partner has when they have these controlling, cold, angry, frustrated moments with us. It's just a cry for closeness, but sometimes we're just not able to hear it through all the mess, which is why good communication is key here. It starts with an honest discussion and awareness about our own behaviours, about our own anxieties, insecurities, and fears. We've got to stop being afraid of asking for what we want. We need to start opening up. We really do, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get better at having these discussions in advance where we open up and we can say, look, I know I've been like this, or I know that I'm going to be like this in the future, and I'm just crazy. I'm out of control. I can't stop it when it happens. And I promise that afterwards, when I calm down, I'll come back to you. But you might just have to let me go and just, I'm telling you now, honestly, that in that moment, I can't control what's happening. Give me some space, please. But I absolutely promise to you, my love, that I will come back to you when I've calmed down and we can have this discussion again. And I'll say, I'm sorry. I don't like saying I'm sorry, but I'll say I'm sorry. And let's try and work this out. Let's try and find a better way of communicating. I realize that I have these bad habits and I want to stop them because that's not me. It's not my value either. And then together, what we can do is find new ways of being, or have phrases or catchwords or codes, or have signs on the wall saying, I know you're angry and upset and we promise to get back together, okay? I'm going to leave the room so you can calm down. A poster on the wall, we just point to that. We don't need to say anything. It can be very hard not to take it personally if you're on the receiving end. And it can be hard if in the moment, if you're the person who wants to run away, who wants to shut down emotionally, who wants to be frustrated and angry and say nasty, hurtful words, or even physically. It can be very hard for both people in that moment. But if you can have that discussion authentically with each other beforehand, and you have these little cues, and you've made promises, you've written things down over and over, then it can work, and you can get to this safe, secure place where you finally get the love you need, you want, you deserve. You both have that love. And isn't that a much better way of being with a person than having arguments, than running away, than both parties feeling scared and frightened, not knowing what's happening to the other person? It's a much better way of being, I believe. And I think you'd have to agree with me. Look, I hope this has been helpful for you. I really do. I hope it's been eye-opening, and that you can see that your partner isn't being hurtful to you. They're not actually doing the things that you believe that they are doing. You now understand that they are just hurting inside as much as you are, and that things can be worked out. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. It definitely takes commitment. It definitely takes self-awareness. But look, it's definitely worth the result. I want you to thrive in life. I want you to thrive in all your relationships. I want you to have the best relationships possible. I honestly, sincerely do. So look, I hope this has been helpful. As I said already, this is LeMonde signing off. Write in the comments below, what has this awoken within you? What do you now see? What do you now know that you need to do with your partner? Comments, please. I'd really appreciate that. All the best. Thanks for joining in this time, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.